Hello, and welcome to Busy, Gritty, Inked, and Witchy, a magical living podcast for the busy witch. I'm Morgan, eclectic witch of more than 20 years, self-proclaimed fluffy bunny, lightworker, and busy witch. Here we will talk all things witchy, including my personal magical tips and tricks, busy witch hacks, and real talk about current metaphysical happenings, which wouldn't be complete without my snark and unique way of looking at the world. So brew some coffee or tea, sit back, and let's do this. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 98 of Busy, Gritty, Inked, and Witchy, and I am Morgan. Now, it's been a few weeks since my last episode. Yes, and the last one I did by myself was at the beginning of June. It's been a while. And I can't believe this is episode 98. Technically, I've done more episodes because I think we're over the 100 mark at this point because there's some bonus episodes that we put out during our 31 Days of Samhain event on the website. So I think I'm over 100 now, but it's pretty cool that this is like the official 98th episode, approaching 100 official episodes. Anyway, at the beginning of June, the last episode that I did by myself, I talked about how it's time for me to honor my cycles and how every summer I seem to get a bit burned out. So I've been taking some time off from the podcast, which has actually lit a fire in me and inspired some fun things for Busy, Gritty, Inked, and Witchy in the future. So that's what happens when you take a break. You reevaluate things and you realize how things can be different or how they can be better. Your brain, because it's not focusing directly on something, has time to kind of work out things in the background. And that's what's happened. So I don't know if you have noticed, but I have slowly been updating the imagery of the podcast to something a little bit more modern, a little bit more legible, I guess, not so busy. And the website I've also been working on, we're in the process of doing some tweaks for the website, which includes, I don't know where you're listening to this from. I don't know whether it's Spotify or Google Podcasts or Audible, or you go directly to our website and listen, whenever a new episode comes out. But you can also go now to busy-witch. So I guess busy-witch.com. And that actually just redirects you back to our podcast. But it was something that I wanted to make it really easy for people to find the podcast and be able to interact with it. And I apparently already owned the domain busy-witch.com. So I put it to use. I went through a domain buying spree one time. It was very fun. Not so fun for my husband, who's like, why do we own this? And I'm like, I don't know. But, everything has panned out. It's really funny because most of them are in use. Of the random domains I own, most of them have been used or have been found very helpful for something or another in the last 5 or 6 years since I bought them all. So yeah, I've taken a little break from the podcast. I'm still technically on a break from the podcast. This is like my official episode to let you all know I'm still on a break. But I also I started writing stuff down for this it was supposed to be like a little update episode, but I was like, well, the honoring your cycles was kind of like a little mini episode. I just maybe didn't say it outright that I would be taking a break or that I'm on a break. So let me just kind of write some stuff down. And what ended up happening is probably what's going to be a full episode about how I get shit done, because I actually do get asked that a lot, being not only the owner of an online metaphysical store, but I'm working on my master's degree in metaphysical science. I started an Avalon training program back in January, which, by the way, let me tell you too, I have taken a break from both of those this summer too. So the podcast is not the only thing I have taken a break from. My degree it's a self-study. So I have just kind of put that on hold for a little while as well as my Avalon studies. So I kind of put a lot of things on pause so I could stand back and take a look at the big picture and see what I needed to energize more and see what, I didn't need to energize anymore. So I do get asked all the time, like, how do I get anything done? And especially that my way to unwind at the moment is playing Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, which is, yes, old school, but I absolutely love it. And so people are always asking me, like, how do you do everything that you do? And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, I really do spend a lot of time on self-care. And they're like, I just don't see it. And I'm like, well, so you know what? I'll share it today. And that's what this episode is actually turned into. So a little bit about me. I tend to jump into things with both feet and zero backup plan. I have been like this my entire life. When I started Busy, Gritty, Inked, and Witchy back in January of 2021, I honestly just decided that I wanted a podcast. And my marketing goddess, Megan, had a podcast. She had a couple of them. And so I had her teach me how to do it, like the basics of podcasting, what software to use, how to get it onto, Apple and Google, and like how to get it on Spotify, how to do all of this. And then I literally sat down, recorded the first episode, uploaded it, and that was it. I had a podcast. That is literally how it happened. Now, if you don't know the podcasting world, what a lot of people do, if not most of them, is they sit and plan out episodes. They plan out seasons. They're like, oh, this season 1 is going to have 27 episodes, and episode 1 is going to be about this, and episode 2 is going to be about this, and then I'll go into this for episode 3. Then they record some, if not all of the episodes together, so like back to back to back recording, so that they have the entire season ready to go, or at least a couple of months worth, or at least a month's worth, depending on, how often they release episodes. But they have stuff sitting in a bank, and so they bulk record, bulk edit, and then schedule episodes to go out. So it basically just goes on autopilot from there forward. So yeah, that's not how I do anything in my life. And that's something that I have been struggling with for years now. Like, it has actually been impacting me in a negative way. Like, it was something I always just dealt with and like, oh, this is just what I do. But this fly by the seat of my pants philosophy, it honestly is just not working for me anymore, to the point where I finally have got to do something about it. Like, it's bad. I literally sit around and daydream about what it would be like to be a super organized person that gets work done months ahead of time. I have caught myself sitting and daydreaming because I'm an Aquarian and we love to daydream. So I realize that when I am sitting around daydreaming, which of course is wasting time, but when I'm sitting around daydreaming about being an organized person, it's time to do something about the current state of things in your life. So what I had to do, and let me tell you, this has been in the works for absolute years now. Okay. I have to put structures in place. And this knowledge, this advice first came from my former business coach, Lisa Marie Grantham, who I had on a few months ago to talk about crystal healing. She's an amazing coach. And she really could just nail down from the beginning for me that structure was what I needed in order to handle burnout, in order to handle everything that I do as a CEO, but in order to set boundaries and to not lose myself. So if you are looking for a business coach, by all means, look Lisa Marie Grantham up. I think she's at lisamariegrantham.com, to be honest, but you can go back to that crystal episode and I've got links in there for you. But she had a saying that was drilled into me, and it was masculine structures support feminine pleasures. And I can hear her voice saying it in my head. So what this means is you have to schedule everything. You have to create time to get everything done and stay focused. And that's what I had to do. But you have to create these structures, which are divine masculine energy, like in origin. And I don't mean male. Of course, everyone has divine masculine energy and divine feminine energy within them, regardless of sex, gender, sexual preference, all of it. It doesn't matter. We all have divine masculine and divine feminine energy within us. So structures are part of the divine masculine energy. You have to put structures in place so that the divine feminine energy can have fun. That is, divine feminine energy is associated with pleasure. So in order to schedule time, or in order to have time off, in order to get the shit done that you need to do so that you can sit around and do whatever you want to in a pleasurable way, that's the balance of divine masculine and divine feminine. It's creating those structures that get shit done so that you have no guilt, no, like, nothing, kind of in the back of your head nagging at you. You can just sit and relax and do whatever you want and have those pleasurable moments, okay? So for me, this requires several tools on my end, which I've developed. Again, this has been years in development, which I'm going to share with you today. The first one for me is schedule everything, okay? I sit down, and I'll get to my to-do list here in a second, but I have to start with the have-tos. So I'll take a look at my week, and I'm like, okay, I have a meeting on Tuesday. Meetings are usually, I schedule for Wednesdays because you want to batch work together. But I'm like, I have this meeting on Wednesday. I have a doctor's appointment on Tuesday. Thursday, we have to be doing this. So those are the first things that go into my schedule. And these are the meetings, appointments, things that I have to do. Okay. So I start with those. The second thing I put into my schedule is my morning routine, because for me, I'm a morning person, but my morning routine sets up my entire day. Okay. So if I have a shit morning, my whole day is generally going to be shit. And no matter how much I try to pull myself out of it or try to shift the energy, it takes more effort to shift the energy if I don't start my day off correctly. So for me, my morning routine is very important. I do like to work out in the morning, and I do try to meditate or convene with my guides, my goddesses, all of that. Every morning, if we do have limited amount of time, I do try to at least get a 10 to 15 minute workout in, and then at least go in and light some incense for my goddesses and say, hey, sorry, busy this morning, have some extra stuff to do, but I'm here. I'm open to your guidance all day. Thank you. And then run and get in the shower. My night routine is just as important. So I usually like to brew a cup of tea in bed by 9, and I read. So that's so for me, I schedule everything out, like my have-tos for the week. I focus on my morning routine and my evening routine. And then when it comes to my days and work, deadlines come first. So whatever has the closest deadline is what I have to focus my energy on first that week. Then just my basic weekly tasks for every day. And then I sprinkle in fun shit that is business related, like product research. Updating the website is fun to me. Yeah, so that's how I schedule. That's how I schedule my day, my week, my month. Okay, so that leads me right into number 2. For me, I have to have to-do lists or it doesn't happen. I have a weekly to-do list. So every Monday, I sit down and brain dump everything that needs to be done that week based on my schedule. So I look at my appointments, I look at deadlines coming up, and I'm like, okay, this week I have to focus on these things. So I brain dump all of those out, and then I take my weekly to-do list and transfer it over to the days of the week, which I have first in my day planner put in meetings and things I have to go to. And then I look at everything and I take the rest of what's on my weekly to-do list and I divide it up between the days. And those are the things I have to do every day. Now, I'm an overachiever. So 9 times out of 10, I schedule entirely too many things into one day, which then used to cause me guilt and like, oh my God, but I have come to realize that this is what I do. So I always start with the hardest stuff first. So the things that require more time, more energy, or have a deadline first, those are the most important. And I prioritize my day like that. So my day gets easier as I go on. And that way, if I get to the end of the day and I still have 3 things on my list, there's 3 minor things. So I can either be like, okay, that's good for today, or I can go ahead and try and knock them out real quick, just depending on what they are. I have a shit memory too, so if I don't write it down, oh my God, it does not get done. So number 3 is I use Pomodoros a lot, especially when I really have shit I need to get done. And Pomodoros are basically just, you set a timer for 20 or 30 minutes and you super focus on a task for that time until the timer goes off. You don't pick up your phone. You don't go, oh, I just got an email, let me look at it, unless your Pomodoro is for answering emails. But you set the Pomodoro for specific tasks. And if it's a big task, you work on it for that 20 or 30 minutes. Then there's timers. You can get timer apps for Pomodoros. Generally speaking, you take like a 5-minute break. And a Pomodoro will be, they recommend between 3 and 4 rounds. So it would be like a 20-minute round, 5-minute break, 20-minute round, 5-minute break, 20-minute round, 5-minute break, 20-minute round, 5, and then at like a 15-minute break or a 30-minute break. So you would do that whether you have, 3 Pomodoros set up in a group or 4. That's what you would do. And then you would take a big break. And then, so each Pomodoro, you would focus on a different task or focus on different steps of a larger task. So that is what I've been using. I've actually been using that for years. But the biggest thing is your phone goes off. You don't touch it. Don't touch your phone. Don't touch your computer. Like, don't do anything other than what that task is. And it just helps you super focus on that task. And it really gets shit done. Okay. So number 4 of my tools is I playlist the shit out of everything. Yes, I have an Avalon playlist for when I'm doing spiritual stuff. I have a workout playlist. I have 3 work playlists. These are all, I've built them all on Spotify. And I have 3 work playlists depending on my workload. So basically my easy tasks, if I just have some easy stuff to do that day and I'm setting a Pomodoro, I will play lo-fi, chill, kind of like elevator music is what it's basically like. But like Spotify has a lot of like study stuff, like study playlists. And that's basically what it is, like this lo-fi chill music. I love it. So then if there's stuff that I need to focus on a little bit more, I have a Celtic playlist that I use because I just highly resonate with Celtic lore, Celtic land, Celtic everything. So that's a little bit more intense for me than just the lo-fi stuff, but it still keeps me focused. But it can't be, unfortunately, I found it can't be like Celtic Woman, the band, because I can't do things with words. So it has to be like wordless stuff. And then for the shit that I need to get this done, do not talk to me. It's called my Boss Bitch playlist. But what it actually is, it's basically video game music from the fight scenes or electronica. My husband calls it my Bitcoin mining music, which is from the TV show Silicon Valley, which is on HBO. Absolutely amazing show. But the guys there, when they're coding, because it's about, a computer, startup, when they're super focused, he listens to like Skrillex and like that electronica music. And I was like, I wonder if that would work for me. And it did. Oh my God. The first time I ever played like electronica music, or somebody created a boss fight playlist on Spotify that's from like Final Fantasy and like the boss fight music. And I don't know, it does the same thing. It's the same type of music for me. The first time I ever played that, I got so much work done. It just seriously tunes out all the bullshit in my brain and helps me focus. So Colin knows if he hears my Bitcoin mining music, do not mess with me until I come out of the office, because once my Pomodoro is over or once I'm done with that task, I will come out. But if that Bitcoin mining music is playing, leave me alone, because I am in like super get shit done mode. Okay. But I playlist the shit out of everything. That I have a house cleaning playlist. Like, music makes everything better. It raises the type of energy you need to raise to get shit done. And it elevates your mood. It elevates your vibration level. Like, that is how I get shit done, is I music the shit out of everything. Seriously. Number 5, my last one, is set boundaries. They are so important. You need time to wake up and start your day. You need time to wind down in the evenings. You need breaks throughout your day, throughout your routine. They always say it on a plane. You put your own mask on first before you help the next person. And that is so true. It is self-care, yes, but boundaries. That is what creates those moments of self-care for yourself, is you establish boundaries around it. You establish your morning routine. You establish your night routine. You establish the things that you need to stay sane and to keep your energy elevated and to keep your mood elevated, and for your own mental health and for your physical health and for your spiritual health and everything. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries are the key. I promise you that. I had no work boundaries when I first started working with Lisa Marie Grantham. And I was burned out all the time. I was working from 6 a.m. until 10 p.m., not taking care of myself, not taking showers, not eating. And in my mind, like, if the business did bad, it's because I didn't work hard enough. And that's not the case. I had to establish boundaries around work. I had to establish boundaries around people in my life. I mean, boundaries are not bad. They are super helpful and they help you practice self-care. Okay. So this was supposed to be an update episode. It did switch over into how I get shit done, give you a full episode, to just kind of swing things back into the update portion of this episode, just so I can make sure it's super clear. I'm still on a slight break during the summer so that I can plan episodes, batch record, and be more consistent in the future. I told you, it is time for me to get this done. It is time for me to stop living by the seat of my pants and start putting that structure into place, because I know, especially if you've been a long time listener, I might be the thing that you're like, oh, it's Wednesday, I get a new Busy, Greedy, Inked, and Witchy episode, and then you go to your Spotify or whatever, and there's nothing there, and I feel so bad for that. I really do. But this is time for me to reevaluate, to plan, to make sure that I'm getting shit done, and to make sure that I'm putting these structures into place so that I do have consistency in the future, and I am being there for you all, and I'm having fun, because I do absolutely love the podcast. I cannot stress that enough. When I talk about reevaluating things in my life and seeing what needs to go, the podcast is not one of them. I hold on to it so dearly because I love doing it. I love spreading my knowledge. I love having fun. That's what I try to do with these episodes. And so the podcast is not going anywhere, okay? It is not. Now, there is a chance that Busy, Gritty, Inked, and Witchy will be going to every 2 weeks for new episodes. I have been entertaining that idea. But honestly, it all depends on how much organization and structure I can put into place during this break, which it has already started. So I want to let you know that I have already started doing that, but there is a chance it will go from weekly episodes to every 2 weeks once I get up and rolling after this summer break for me. Okay. So just keep that in mind. And you never know, because like I said, I told my husband, I said, look, I've got to go record a podcast episode. I'm planning on just doing a little quick update to put it in there, let them know what's going on. And then when I started writing, it turned into a full episode. And that is because I was inspired and because I was like, well, this is going to happen today now. And so that could happen next week. It could happen the week after that. So like, this isn't goodbye until the summer is over. But I just wanted to let you all know very clearly like what my intentions were, and that I am working on things in the background. It's just not things that are, in the forefront at the moment. Okay. So I do want to remind everyone first and foremost that we do own a business. I know the podcast episodes are really cool, and, I share a lot of my knowledge there, but I do own inkedgoddesscreations.com, which is where we're really focusing now on unique witchcraft supplies, products. We're dialing up the witchy level. We do have a monthly subscription box called the Ink Goddess Creations box. So like, we're really dialing up the witchy aesthetic on that as well. But I think that the thing that makes our box a lot different from some other companies is that we hand make or design most of the products in the box. They're made by witches for witches. So it's stuff that you actually will use in your practice, even if you didn't know that it could be used. For example, last month we gave everyone metal reusable ice cubes with little pinnacles engraved on them. Not something that you're like, oh, this is an obvious witchy tool, but now it's the summer. So when you make your iced tea or your lemonade, you can drop the metal ice cubes in there that have the pinnacles on them, and you're automatically getting protected energy as you drink. So a lot of our customers say that it's stuff that they love and they never knew they needed, but now it's become the tools that we've provided them have caused them to think outside the box with their witchcraft practice. And it's stuff that they didn't know they needed, but they're so happy that they have now. So that's the Ink Goddess Creations box. For the month of August, if you happen to listen to this and get your order in before August 1st, we're doing Don't F with a Witch, which is our protection magic box. And those boxes will be shipping on August 4th. And then if this vibe that you get here is something that you would like to explore more, something you would like to connect with more, I do have an online coven that I am the magical mentor for. That's at inkedspirit.com. It's the Ink Spirit Coven. It is completely online. Every month we go over a new topic and you get a live lesson with me on Zoom as well as a live workshop with me on Zoom. We have a Facebook group that's private for just the coven members. You get all of this and Book of Shadows pages. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. Just if that sounds good to you, go to inkedspirit.com to learn more and sign up there. For the month of August, we are working on the Witch's Bounty. That's what it's so fun. It's so fun. So that's everything that I have for you all today. I just wanted to make sure a lot of you find me through the podcast first and you're like, oh, cool, it's a witchy podcast. We do have a business attached to it. I do have an online coven attached to it. We do have a monthly subscription box attached to this. This podcast is my passion. This is what I do for fun, honestly. But this is a business. I mean, I do run a business that helps other people as well. So check it out, inkgoddesscreations.com or inkspirit.com. And those are the different things we offer. I want to thank you all so much for listening and for giving me a platform to share my knowledge and have fun. And I'm not sure when I will see you all next, but it will be soon. Take care.